Hey, YouTube. Mark here with Greg with a post E3 podcast. Um, we're kind of going to talk about all of the shows that we've seen so far and kind of, brisk through a little bit of each game and then spend more time on the games that we're a little more excited for.
Yep.
And we're going to go in order. So we'll see, you know, we actually haven't talked much to each other about who wants water, likes water,
Exactly.
whatever. So let's
And if
dig in.
we can remember any of our predictions, we'll point out where we were wrong or right
That's true.
along the
Yeah,
way. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not going to waste time
yeah.
digging into my old notes or anything.
So anyway, the first show was EA,
Yeah, on
and
Saturday, which is
yeah,
weird.
which was different, but hey, they had shown off a few games, more like sneak peeks almost, because they knew they were going to show them off more at the Xbox show and possibly
Well,
or the Sony show and stuff.
one of them specifically
Yeah,
was at Microsoft show.
yeah,
I think one of the first titles they showed off was New Need for Speed.
yeah, and that.
And
I
it
mean,
looks
we
awesome.
here's the thing though. I wasn't so surprised about it because they showed that teaser trailer beforehand,
Yeah. Yep.
but it was still nice to get more of an idea of what
Yeah.
gameplay is going to be like.
I mean, for better or worse, it reminded me of previous games in the series like The Run and stuff like that, where it tried to be
Yeah,
more
I think
cinematic.
a lot of people were comparing it to The Run, and I think that's good. That's a good game. Plus,
Yeah.
with the Fast and Furious franchise and the theaters being such a huge hit,
Well,
making billions.
the weird thing is like one of the more successful Need for Speed games, I believe, was the Underground series from
Yeah,
back on the Xbox, PS2, and GameCube.
yeah,
And
I love those games personally.
they've had trouble recapturing that Fast and Furious feeling in their games since then.
Yeah,
Um, they've kind of succeeded in some areas, but fell back in others. This looks a lot more like the modern Fast and Furious
I
feel.
I think it, like, not only does it look like it's going to play great, but it looks gorgeous.
And to that, it made me think of Burnout like a lot.
Yeah,
With all the destruction and the way the crashes were, which has been there since Criterion and now Ghost Games took over the series, but it really looks a lot like Burnout, but with the Need for Speed
yeah, and
skin.
I don't have any issues with that.
No, that's awesome. That's a very good thing to me. So that game looks really good. I'm actually gonna keep my eye on that one.
Definitely.
Um, I'm a little worried about like if it's actually going to hold up, because the stories in racing games and stuff, they don't usually end up working out too well. So we'll see. But I mean, what they showed looks cool.
Now, they also obviously showed Battlefront 2,
Yeah.
to a much larger scale. I think we anticipated that, but that multiplayer match was pretty incredible.
The whole
On a visual level, I mean, it's like you're in the damn movies.
on all around, it looks outstanding. It looks like it's going to be a blast to play.
Yeah.
The fact, a lot of our generation and the generation before us really dislike the prequels. But
I personally liked them though, but I'm like of the minority there.
I liked them, but not in the same way. Like more like dumb fun, whereas the others were, I don't know. It's different. But anyway, I liked in one of the interviews that one of the creative people were talking about how they recognize that a certain chunk of their audience started their Star Wars fandom on the prequels, not the original trilogy. And so that they really wanted to make sure that they had that right there, right out of the gate with this one. And I think that's really good because not only do they have like the sequel trilogy and the original trilogy, but now they have the prequel trilogy.
Yep.
And they're building a story around it, which looks like you're taking the role of the bad guys, essentially.
That, to me, that's cool.
Like,
but at the same time, they're kind of thinking, they're making it like you're not the bad guy. The rebels were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's from the perspective of the Empire, basically, and they see the Death Star get destroyed on Endor from Endor, and it's just like they're like, no, and it's like, what?
How'd that happen?
I'm pretty sure when I saw that in the movies, that was a joyous time.
Yeah, it was.
Apparently not for everybody.
But you know what? I do believe also that this storyline is essentially going to stick like within the movies, kind of.
It is.
So I think that's actually pretty cool too.
Yeah,
especially since the visuals are almost as if you're in the movie anyway.
And I have to wonder how far ahead it's going to go. Is it going to touch into like the Knights of Ren with the new ones? Because that would be kind of cool to see how that came to be.
I guess we'll find out.
You know, there's a lot of questions with this current trilogy, obviously, but Battlefront 2 looks like a great game all around. It looks really, really good. Looks like they really thought out everything. I do have some questions about how the flight stuff is gonna be. Like, are we gonna have like actual dog fights, or is it gonna be more like, hey, I got an X-wing, I'll go bomb out these guys' base really quick? Because I think
you'll have probably both. It's just you can't expect these gamers that are at the show that got picked to play to essentially show what you're hoping they're going to.
Yeah, well, a lot of
dogfighting would have been awesome to see, and there was a couple in there that they shown, but it was like in that montage, and it's like, well, they should have showed that in the show itself. Yeah. But
I just saw a number of YouTube videos where people actually got to go hands-on with it, and they thought it was really cool. They were able to fly around like a TIE fighter or an X-wing or whatever, but they didn't like. After a while, after that effect wore off, they didn't know what to do. So they just crashed just so they would reset and go back to being on the ground.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably the first time they're playing it.
Yeah. And we'll see. It could just be more like certain maps are better equipped for it. Yeah,
it makes me just seeing what we saw makes me want to play that more than the first one.
Yeah. Yeah,
especially with the single player campaign.
So much variety too. Like they had like the Force of Endor in the first one, I believe, but they, of course, all that stuff returns. But then they have like Naboo and all that. And
and that looks
that's
nice.
Cool, man. That's really awesome.
So, what did you think of the game A Way Out?
That looks amazing. However, it requires co-op. And that's going to be a big problem for me because, like I live way out away from all my friends. And unless I'm on Xbox Live and they happen to be playing it too, or PSN, I don't know that I'm going to even be able to play it at all.
Then you don't have Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even if I did, and like, sure, I could get it on PC, but it'd be almost the same situation where somebody else has to have it in order for me to even be able to play it at all.
It's a interesting concept, and I think
it is really good.
Now, I'll tell you what, though, if they put it on the Switch, it may not be so hard.
Maybe not.
I mean, for some people.
I mean, to me, it's the same issues because I still have to have somebody else. I have to know somebody else with a Switch, and I currently do not. So
not if it's unless they are able to do split screen of some sort. But I guess split screen on the little 7-inch screen wouldn't be very good.
Well, even if it did work, you still have the Joy-Cons. Like they're kind of limited, And it seems like that kind of game needs the dual analog setup to work. Either way, it looks awesome. The concept is great. And, it's from the guys that made shoot, what was it called? Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Okay. Well, then they
And
definitely like improved big time.
and beyond that, I wouldn't say it improved, but I mean that game was co-op single player. Like you controlled literally both brothers, one with each stick, and it was critically acclaimed. But that studio is also Starbreeze, which made Chronicles of Riddick. So, like the people here, they're talented. They're a talented bunch at doing unconventional things. So it looks cool. I can't wait to see what happens in the final product.
Now, obviously, they showed off their sports games, and I know that neither you nor I give two shits about them.
I do want to make one note on that. Just based on impressions I've seen on YouTube and stuff, FIFA, a lot of people are worried that FIFA was going to be just a port of like a 360 PS3 version to the Switch. Does not appear to be the case. In fact, it has a lot in common from what I've read and saw with the current gen versions, minus the single player story mode that those two have. And a lot of people are really impressed with it, and I think it's partly because it's portable and they haven't played FIFA.
I wonder if they're not using Frostbite on there because they just haven't ported it over yet.
Yeah, you would have to imagine, because we'll talk more engine talk when we get to Nintendo. But
yeah, but then EA showed off another game that, like, watching EA's conference when they showed it off, which is Anthem.
From BioWare.
I didn't really. It's like, okay, well, that kind of looks pretty, but they didn't show any gameplay.
Yeah,
so I didn't really give a shit about it. And then this will lead us into the Xbox talk. When they showed it off at the Xbox conference, I was blown away. So much so that I thought it looked, on a visual level, looked far better than Horizon Zero Dawn, which to me is kind of hard to believe.
That's a technical feat.
I mean, it looked unbelievable. The water looked really good. The plant life, the size, and to top it off, it's a large scale open world game. I mean,
as far as we can tell, yeah. Well, it's crazy.
I don't understand how something that big can look that great.
I
mean, it's
clear
insane
to me that BioWare has been putting most of their effort towards Anthem and not Mass Effect Andromeda, which is kind of a shame because it's like sacrificing one to make another.
One of which is a new IP.
Yeah,
they're not really sure how we'll do, and like I don't know. The facial animation that they were able to show off looked unbelievable.
Yeah,
looked good.
The thing that got me, like, okay, the Iron Man flying around kind of stuff, that's really cool. At the end there, when he goes to flank the guy and he goes like down into the water, it's cool as hell. I did not expect that. I actually, until they did that, I had actually thought that it was like an ankle deep stream that I was seeing, and not like a freaking ravine or whatever. Like, I didn't think it was actually deep enough that a man could go into it all the way, and yet there's this whole world down there, which was awesome. But the thing that got me immediately, and at EA's conference, was when they were walking through that like town or village or whatever, and there's so many people, there's so much going on, so much detail, and it's like, holy shit, this is how it reminded me of when Ubisoft showed off Assassin's Creed Unity a couple years ago on at the launch of the Xbox One and PS4.
Yeah.
Whereas like everything was really busy and detailed, and that's what it made me think of, except now it's for real, and it's probably not going to be as broken as Unity was.
Probably not. I mean, They said they were working on it for the past 3 years, I think. I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I'm definitely looking forward to the game. I want to know more.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do, actually.
It looks stunning. I honestly don't really know beyond the Iron Man stuff what exactly it is. People are comparing it to Destiny, which
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, but
they say it's like this is what Destiny wanted to be, but never lived up to be.
Yeah, I've heard others say that this is what Destiny. It's like Destiny with a good story.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, okay,
we'll
give
see.
them that.
We'll see. Now, since we're on Xbox talk, we'll just go ahead and get the big one out. Obviously, we all know about Xbox One X, which was Scorpio.
Yep.
And it's for a ridiculous $499.
I wouldn't say ridiculous too much, but ridiculous, we might be pushing it.
Well, I think it's ridiculous because, and this is how I'm looking at it. They're still going to sell the Xbox One S at $250, and then here you got Scorpio at $500. Come Christmas time, little Johnny's mom and dad aren't going to, probably not going to know much of the difference and go for the cheaper one, or say, why am I spending $500 for this if this one plays the same games? I can buy 2 of these for the same price.
Well,
or buy one and buy. I think
it's purely going to be a naming problem. Well, Johnny is going to ask for an Xbox One X, and his parents are going to be like, "Oh, okay," and go to the store. Oh, I'm looking for the Xbox One X, and the person's going to walk him over to the Xboxes, and they're this is One S, and they're going to be like, "Oh, okay," not realizing that this person just told you it was an S, not an X.
Yeah.
Why did Microsoft name it that? That's the biggest problem I have. The price isn't great, but it could be worse.
It could definitely be worse. That's for sure.
It should have been no more than $450, in my opinion, and that's even pushing it.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from a value perspective, compared to the original Xbox One,
you're getting a lot.
You're getting your money's worth for sure.
Heck, even compared to the average gaming PC, you're getting quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a
and I do say
piece of hardware.
Yeah. I am saying average because I know there'll be some people out there that are like, oh, I got whatever. It's like, okay, you go buy your NVIDIA, the 1080 cards, and you're spending more money than the Xbox already. So
yeah. So in regards to that, if you are rocking like an i7 with like a 1070, you are not the average PC gamer. You're not. You're just not. Because the average PC gamer is going to have more middle of the road stuff.
Probably
they might have an i5
and $200 card, maybe $250.
Yeah, like an i5 with like a 1060 or something along those lines, or the AMD equivalent, and that is more average.
Yeah.
And now, even when you break down the cost, the Xbox One X still has more hardware than what you'd be able to buy for $500.
Yep.
Like spec wise and everything, you cannot match that.
Plus, you can't really compare the CPU, mainly because your PC will have to handle the DirectX calls. The CPU will. Whereas with I'm just going to call it Scorpio, that DirectX hardware chip takes all that burden away from the CPU and leaves that free. So,
and in addition to that, like your video card might have 8 gigs of video RAM at GDDR5, and that's fine because that's what the Scorpio has and everything. But the difference here is that 8 gigs of GDDR5 is specifically for graphics only. So that means that your system RAM, whether it's DDR3 or 4, it's nowhere near as fast as what the Scorpio has available for everything, including graphics.
Yeah.
And that's 9 gigs that's available to games
And
as of now.
what else too, which is actually pretty awesome. The whatever RAM is not used then gets used as a cache. So your original Xbox One games, not OG Xbox, but like let's say we'll just say Halo 5 for example. When you're using that, it was never programmed, for all that extra RAM. So since the Scorpio doesn't have the SRAM built in, the extra RAM from the GDDR5 is used for that, which I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So
plus 9 gigs available to developers too.
Yeah, at that speed, you're not going to buy that for very cheap. Like, even if you tried and you went with like DDR4, some crazy ass overclock, I don't even know what the highest is on that, 3600 megahertz maybe. That's not even close to what GDDR5 is in terms of speed. So, and that's expensive RAM right there. Expensive. So, and then you have it like the vapor cooled graphics processor and stuff. I'm sorry.
Plus the footprint.
Yeah, that for sure. That's another amazing thing. Smaller than the 1S. Like, how the hell did they do that? Like, geez, man.
I don't know. That's crazy.
That's phenomenal, though. But
probably because of that vapor chamber.
Yeah, because they don't have to have room for fans to spin around or anything. So yeah, that was obviously the big takeaway. It's coming out this November, $500.
So
I gotta lay out some impressions. I gotta get some impressions on this first because we got sidetracked. My impressions as a PC guy. I don't know if I want to. I'm wondering if I should just go back to Xbox gaming because on one hand, I could spend $500, get a nice Ryzen CPU and some DDR4 RAM, and my machine would probably be quite a beast itself. It would probably come close to matching that thing as well. However, if I do that, I still have to deal with games not necessarily running right or just getting them tweaked so that they run at a frame rate that I find acceptable and all this other stuff. Not to mention like controller incompatibilities and whatever. Yeah. It's actually making me rethink whether or not I want to even do that at all, because if I just get the Scorpio, then it's like, I got it, plug it in, play. Whether I go digital or physical.
Yeah, plus if you do digital, you're going to get a copy for your PC anyway.
And that's just it, because when I do eventually upgrade my PC to something better, I still have the games. Like I have almost 500 PC games. They're not going anywhere. And it's like right now I could just spend it on that and be done. Not only that, but even if I got my PC upgraded to that kind of spec, it's not going to be as capable at 4K as the Scorpio likely will be, simply because of how optimized console games are.
Yeah.
Even if my PC had all the teraflops that the Scorpio did and then some, it wouldn't necessarily matter because Windows is not a platform where like games can be optimized, for a specific set of hardware, because they have to work with everything or a lot of things.
Plus, you might have driver issues. You might have component issues where like a stick of RAM goes bad and you're pulling out your hair trying to figure out what the problem is.
The basic diagnosis of computer stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had me rethinking that. And to segue into the games part, they showed off a lot of stuff that really made me rethink how I feel about Xbox Live, because I don't like the idea of paying to play online when I can do that for free on PC. However, if it sounds like they're trying to foster an environment for that, like where it's all like a lot of cooperative experiences with an open world filled with players already that aren't necessarily just trying to shoot each other, because I could care less about Call of Duty and Battlefield in that sense. Like, I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to pay to get shot every time I jump into a match. So, and there we go. Segue into games. Forza 7 was the big one they showed right out of the gate.
Yeah, that game.
My first thought after watching some of your videos on GT Sport was like, man, Gran Turismo is going to have a problem. Because
and I don't know if you watched my little quick video I did Sunday night.
Not yet.
But essentially, I called it out right as it, like, basically how it is. Forza 7 makes Gran Turismo Sport is dead. I mean, it's dead. It's dead in its tracks. It's in fact, I said Sony needs to delay it because number one, now they have some serious competition on the way. Forza 7 and Project Cars 2, both of those look a million times better, at least on a visual scale. They look way better, than GT Sport does. Now, I know there are the hardcore fans and the simulator people that they don't care about graphics. But here's the thing. The majority of people, or I should say the majority of gamers that are playing these racers, they do care about graphics.
Yeah.
They care about the way things look when you crash into a wall or roll your car or, whatever. Gran Turismo Sport doesn't have that, at least currently.
And, when they showed Forza right out of the gate, I watched it on my TV, so I got the 4K experience. No HDR, but I got the 4K part. So right out of the gate, though, that's what got the wheels turned in my mind about, like, should I just go back to console? Because seeing how good that looked, it excited me in a way that the original release of the Xbox One PS4 never did.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I've been so down on this generation, because nothing seemed that much different. Like, you had to really look to see the differences. And I found myself doing that with your Gran Turismo videos. And eventually Digital Foundry did that comparison between GT6 and this one.
I had a comparison too, although I didn't narrate.
Yeah, well, they go, how they are. They go way in depth.
No, they go into technicalities and everything. And
it wasn't even until then that I saw the differences.
Yeah,
personally, which is sad.
The differences between Forza 7 and GT Sport, it's night and day difference. I mean, I don't know how Sony's going to salvage that one. I'm hoping that they do delay the game to improve things.
I gotta wonder what's going on with Polyphony Digital, because something's gotta be wrong to spend this much time on their games, and they're just not. The last couple to me have not stood out like the first Gran Turismo and the second one, especially.
Well, those
even
were
3.
well, okay. The first one was like, whoa, you can do that on the PlayStation? You were like, that looks incredible. And then the second one was just a larger scope.
Yeah.
And then the third one, being the first PS2 game, actually, I mean, I haven't really played it until recently because, I didn't have PlayStation 2 at the time. I'm surprised how good it is, And then Gran Turismo 4, I think it's good.
It's just like a half step.
Yeah, although it adds HD. Although it's not implemented very well.
No.
I kind of wish it was done differently, and it screws with the recording. Because like every time it switches resolutions, it
does it a lot.
Screws it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that kind of like paved the way for Gran Turismo 5, which, I don't know if 5 really was that big for me.
It didn't seem like that big at all.
No, but like I played Gran Turismo 6 a lot. That was actually actually, let's see. My first Gran Turismo game was the one on PSP, and then I got 6. But Forza just to me looks like it's miles and miles ahead.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't know. I was impressed. As far as the game goes, I guess we'll just have to see what it offers compared to Gran Turismo. But I just mentioned the kind of online experiences that they were pushing during their show, and perhaps the best example of that was Sea of Thieves.
Oh yeah, and that game looks so good too.
It does, and a lot of people didn't seem to really get it. Like I was watching, I tend to go to IGN for E3 stuff, which is part of the problem, I think. But they were talking how they were playing the demo, or they saw the demo. This is right after the show, and they're like, so one guy has to like wait at the ship while the other is going to do stuff. Like, what? He's supposed to stand there? It's like, I don't think they understood what was going on there, because that ship was being attacked as the other players were going into this cavern.
Yeah.
Like whoever was on the ship was doing stuff to save your ship while you were getting the treasure or whatever.
Yeah, and essentially I kind of see it. I see it like in first-person shooters when you have capture the flag.
Yeah.
Now, personally, I don't like those types of modes in first-person shooters, but the way that they presented it in Sea of Thieves, I think actually would work out really well, because now you're actually fighting for 2 flags in a way. You got one as your treasure that you're going after, and then your ship, because it's going to get attacked. And so you need someone to protect the ship, and then you need someone to go get your treasure and bring it back.
Came off as a really fun idea, like as long as you have a group of friends. And I happen to know that a lot of my friends that I used to play Xbox with, they're still on Xbox. So that's another reason why I'm like, well, if I just go back to Xbox now, I'm sure they'll be there. I'm sure they're buying this stuff. So,
and then plus, we have to remember too, all these games are going to work on the original 1 and 1S.
I know.
So you don't necessarily have to get a Scorpio, but if you want it to look, the best, obviously. So then we also had a pretty big viewing of Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah, I almost forgot to put that on my list for the Xbox stuff, but that looks stunning. Like, if that was indeed all the Scorpio footage, then
well, they claim it is.
That's what they say. And I was, watching in 4K, and it looked damn good, damn crisp and detailed. Of course, a lot of Assassin's Creed games look good. But
yeah. Now, hell, I'll play the original on PS3 from time to time, and I think that still looks good.
Yeah. Now, the big takeaway from this for me was how, origin stories or whatever, to me, so many games do that. They go back to the origin story. That it's kind of a played out thing in my mind. But the fact that they're going so far back that it predates like guns, to me, that's going to improve the experience exponentially, because to me, as soon as Assassin's Creed 2 came around and introduced guns, all of a sudden guns became kind of a pain in the ass. Because in AC2, they weren't actually as bad, because to reload, it took forever. But then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, it might have been Brotherhood or Revelations or possibly AC3. The reloading wasn't so hard to do, so everybody was reloading like lickety-split, and you couldn't hardly get around without getting shot. And it always knocked you down, of course. And,
now, I'm impressed with what I saw, and I think really it benefits the series that they, like they didn't come out with a new one last year, because they were like clockwork for a while. So I'm glad that they took time off, and I'm hoping that in all honesty, I'm hoping that they continue to do that.
Well,
it's not a Call of Duty game where you have
Yeah.
all these studios working on the games.
Well, they do, but here's the thing: is like because this studio got an extra year by not having a game come out last year. That means that every other studio, which I think there's 2 others that make these games, they also got the extra year. So like
Yeah.
everybody's got more time on it now because of that 1 year off. And I mean, to me, that means at least 3 games. The next 3 games should be pretty rock solid. Should be. We'll see. I'm not actually super skeptical on this one. I actually think I'm going to buy it.
Well, I'm planning on it.
Like the whole eagle thing, and
That's like
using
your drone.
It reminded me of Splinter Cell Blacklist,
Yeah,
like a
little.
lot, because you could see like where your enemies were and all this, kind of plan your attack. And I actually don't remember if Blacklist had that, but that's what came to mind when I was watching the trailer. So, but either way, it looks cool. I'm impressed.
We have a release date for Cuphead.
Yeah, finally. They didn't show a lot of that.
No, but they've shown a lot of it over the past couple years. I think they were just more or less saying, "Hey, we got a release date."
It's still coming.
And then, you know what? I'm excited for that game. And Adam Carolla was talking with someone. I don't remember. I believe it was him. They're coming out very possibly physical media of that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not confirmed, but it's looking like it could very possibly
It's published
happen.
by Microsoft, so...
Well, originally it was just going to be the ID at Xbox, independent. Yeah. Well, now obviously Microsoft put some money into it. I'm excited for it because now instead of it being just a bosses fight type game, they have that whole map and you got full levels and everything.
They've actually expanded it because I seem to remember the first showing of the game. It was kind of a boss rush mode essentially, but as like a side-scrolling shooter.
Yeah.
And then it started to become like a
they
side-scroller too. And yeah, awesome. It looks great. And speaking of indie games, we had a new Ori game.
Okay, there's that and The Last Night.
Yeah. The Last Night I was going to mention last. But the new Ori game looks amazing. I was watching the video and I wasn't sure what it was right off the bat, but I recognized that character, the little blue guy, and I was like, man, where have I seen him? And I was like, oh, that's Ori and the Blind Forest. And then it's like, oh, these visuals are for real. This isn't just a CG thing. This is exactly how the game is going to look when I play, because that's how the first one was.
And then the Last Night,
that looks crazy.
Surprised the crap out of me. I'm like, well, that's not coming out on physical media. I might have to buy digital because that game I need to play that one.
It looks awesome because, for our viewers, I guess, easy way to describe it is pixel art with shiny coat of paint. Kind of like, it reminded me of that Switch game, Octopath Traveler from Square Enix, where it had like this pixel art, but like really nice like backgrounds and stuff like that. And it did a lot of awesome visual stuff.
And then let's see. Also, honestly, I don't necessarily care about it because I didn't play the previous 2, but Crackdown 3 was shown off pretty well.
Okay, so that I haven't played any of them either. But Terry Crews, hell yeah, that made
it fun to watch. That definitely made it fun to watch.
And then, he's a big PC gamer, by the way.
Yeah, I watched.
If you follow Jay's 2 cents,
yeah, he
built him a machine, and man, he was just flipping out. He was so excited.
That's so cool too. So obviously, there's a lot of games that were shown off.
There's definitely one more.
Well, I'll let you do that, and then I have the one thing that I want to talk about.
Okay,
we'll move on
quickly. I want to mention that Shadow of War, the new Mordor game.
Yes,
that looks great. the Nemesis system looks like it's much improved. So I'm anticipating that. Not much else to say. It looks nice, and
I did think that the gameplay that they showed off was kind of funny, like that.
it was.
The
The
big
voice
orc.
acting is so good, man.
Yeah,
so
they
good.
nailed that one. And then now in my video I posted it Sunday night, I did say that I was right. They were going to bring out original Xbox.
I was going to say that I still have a game, but yeah, you were right, and I was wrong. I'm so glad.
And it was confirmed that your discs will work.
Yeah, after the show.
Yeah, I figured though that essentially it would be set up just like the 360 version. Yep. So that's awesome.
It is awesome, and like Phil Spencer said on stage, that just like with your Xbox 360 games, it's going to make your original Xbox games look and play better than ever.
Oh, so, can you imagine them in 4K on the with the
I know. Scorpio? Just even just a bump to 720 would be quite something, and that's not even that big of a leap for what they are.
Yeah.
So there was one game that I had to mention though. What's because that? It looked phenomenal, and the previous two games were also phenomenal. Metro Exodus.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, damn, that game looks so cool.
Totally forgot to write that one down.
Yep. It looks so awesome.
When they were showing it off, I didn't have any idea what it was. I'm like,
I had an idea as soon as I saw the snowy, like, Russia, and I believe, if I remember right anyway, I believe that you could see cracks on the visor.
When he took it off, there was a hole in it.
My immediate thought was like, this reminds me of Metro. Could this possibly be a new Metro game? And then he said 4A games, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that was Metro. And then it started going. It's like, hell yeah, this.
Yeah, no, that game looks fantastic, but obviously that will be a cross-platform game.
Yeah.
So
now, I do want to say that one of the predictions I made was that they would kind of double down on the Play Anywhere stuff, and they absolutely did. It seemed like most of the games they showed, out of the 40-something they showed, it said exclusively on Xbox and Windows 10, or coming to Xbox and Windows 10, is like constantly. It's like they're definitely doing that. There's a few third-party games in there. I think Shadow of War actually was one of them that used the Play Anywhere thing, which is pretty cool. I could be wrong. Could be a different third party. But either way, I'm down.
So then the next day, on Monday, we had the Sony conference.
Yep.
Yeah. And Sony. Actually, I mean, first off, I couldn't watch all of the stream because it wasn't working in the beginning. I had so many problems. Either it was sound issues. It was just like, what is that? 320p or something. I mean, it was really low.
Well, they had problems at the beginning, I believe, with the sound, where they started playing trailers. I couldn't hear shit. It was almost like I could just hear the auditorium sound.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, and then eventually it got fixed.
Yeah.
So I kind of missed the Uncharted trailer because the sound issues, but I already know that's coming out. I've seen a lot of it. Fantastic game. I'm very excited for. I don't care if they showed it or not, because I already knew it was coming.
I feel the same way about the Horizon DLC that came after that. It is like, cool. I'll take more of both of those games.
Yeah, definitely. Now, this probably, maybe this will be in order. I'm not sure. There was a few games that were shown that I didn't write down because I didn't care for them. But the remaster of a remaster of Shadow Colossus blew me away.
It's basically a remake. I mean,
Well,
it's entirely different graphics.
yeah,
So
yeah, but I mean, same game, but
yeah,
obviously it
looks so cool.
looks amazing.
Like I'm gonna buy that.
Oh, me too.
There's no way around it. I'm gonna buy it. It could be broken as hell, and I'll buy it.
But you know what? Here's the thing. When I saw the studio that made it, and
that's what I
then
was gonna say.
like Blue Point Games, they're the ones that like they did the Need for or the what is the Uncharted collection.
Yep.
They did the which was the other
I
one?
believe they did the original Eco collection
Yeah,
ports.
they do a lot of those ports,
and I believe they did the Titanfall for 360.
Yes, they did.
I believe. So they are good.
They do really good with that. Obviously, I haven't personally seen any games that are their own, which there might be some, but I don't know of any. But
Well,
they're really good at doing, like, taking the idea from another studio and making it work on a different platform.
I think this is Sony giving them a shot to actually build from the ground up something that they know will sell and that's familiar, and just to see how they do. And I have a feeling it's going to turn out really, really well. Blue Point Games could be a big name in the years coming.
Plus, at least from what they've shown, it
looks so nice, man.
The atmosphere of it, the creatures look far better.
The world looks far better. Like
I knew exactly what it was though. As soon as it started showing some gameplay, and I was like, "Oh no way!"
I saw the bridge, and I was like, could it possibly be? And then I saw the dudes running, like the horse running through the puddles. I was like, this is Shadow of the Colossus, isn't it? And it's like, then it zoomed up, and it's like, holy shit, it is.
And you know, it's interesting. Like, there's a YouTuber that, or maybe he's a streamer. I don't know, but he's been playing Shadow of the Colossus since it came out on PS2. He's been playing the PS2 version that long, trying to find every single secret and nook and cranny and everything. And I'm kind of wondering, because he's found stuff that the developers didn't think people would find. I'm wondering if Blue Point was able to essentially put all that back in. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
What do you think of the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinity?
You know, it's going to be awesome, but man, that was a waste of time. Like
we knew it was coming already.
We knew it was coming. I think everybody knows that it's going to be an awesome game. Why waste precious conference time on that? It's a safe entry to your conference, but it's not necessary.
Well, the same could be said for the Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw trailers for that. They already had announced pre-orders.
And I have zero feelings on that. Like, based on what they showed, like, sure, it's cool, another Call of Duty, but
well, personally, I plan on getting it because it looks really good.
I probably won't. I'll get Battlefield 1 first, and
the storyline. I think the storylines will be really nice, but like I don't really care about the multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not one of those Call of Duty multiplayer.
You know, I would.
Guys.
I would, except there's all these damn kids these days that can play all day, every day. So, like,
all summer long, but kick your ass and you get pissed.
And it's like I have my 30 minutes a week where I can just zone into a game, and then I don't want to spend 30 minutes getting shot in the head by some 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Yelling obscenities all the time.
And then after that, they went into some PlayStation VR. And
I have zero feelings on most of that. So,
well, I thought Skyrim VR was kind of neat. But at the same time, if I remember correctly, the way you move, you're like kind of pointing into an area, and then it'll teleport you to that spot.
Not with that one. Skyrim actually looked like you actually moved around.
I can't remember. I can't remember which one exactly, but
Doom VR did have it like that.
No, that's probably what I was thinking.
Yep. Same studio, so.
it's I don't know. It didn't look much better, obviously, as far as visuals go, but to be in that world fighting dragons and stuff might be
Yeah,
kind of cool.
that's something where the IGN crew was talking about, like, is this where VR is going to break out with Skyrim in VR, because it is a fully realized open world that you can explore in virtual reality. And they make a good point, but man, I don't know about you, but I'm sick of seeing Skyrim show up everywhere.
I am. It's old.
Like,
I want Elder Scrolls 6 already.
like to me, it would have been more cool to have Oblivion remastered in VR. Like, I would have been more cool with that because
Or
it's
just remastered,
older.
period.
Yeah, or that. Yeah. Now, what about Days Gone?
Oh,
There's so many
I'm,
zombie games, but that one stands out to
that's,
me.
yeah, that one looks really good. Now, we did see it last year, and obviously a year ago, the zombie craze was still relatively big, but I think it's dying down now, so I'm hoping that won't hinder on the performance of this
Well,
game, as far as sales go.
this to me, this game, it stands on its own. Like, yeah, we have like Dying Light and all those many zombie games that are out there.
Yeah.
But this seems very different. Um, this, along with, like, let me see, I guess God of War pretty much God of War and Days Gone. They all have this thing where, to me, they look like they play exactly like Uncharted and
Yeah.
Horizon. And
Well, to me, that's not a bad thing.
it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it could be. Like, if Sony's like, hey, everybody likes this, let's just keep using this style of game for everything, then we have a problem, because every single game is pretty much the same thing with a different coat of paint. So far, so good, because I think Days Gone is like, it's got enough personality going. It kind of reminded me of like The Last of Us, where you
Yeah, a
have
little
these
bit.
people you're trying to help, you're trying to make your way in this world that's infested with zombies, and like the way that the player in the demo was able to use that swarm of zombies against that outpost, I suppose call it. That was pretty cool. Just because he caused a ruckus and then got them all killed, basically.
Yeah.
And I think the technology is awesome. Seeing how the swarm, like, all of them moved kind of like they're on their own, basically. It looked like they all had independent thought for whatever a zombie can have. And that was pretty cool. Outside of that, give us a little bit more so I know what exactly it plays like.
Now, I'm also looking forward to Detroit.
Yeah.
Become Human or
Become Human.
Um,
That was one of the standout
one,
games.
I mean, both of us essentially lived out in kind of in that area,
Yeah.
and seeing some of the buildings in there, obviously it's more futuristic, but there's some similarities to the city. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that game, it looked awesome last year, and it looks even more awesome this year.
Yeah.
Something about David Cage's style of game, like,
It's
they don't play
definitely
traditionally at all.
And that's a refreshment.
It is, and that's what
the
made
story too is probably going to be really awesome.
Yeah, that is one game to me that saved Sony's conference for me, because while the games all looked good, like I said, a lot of it seemed like Uncharted and Horizon reskinned, and it's like, okay, I'm waiting for the next new, fresh, original thing, and that was definitely one of them. It looks great. I love choice-driven gameplay, anyways. Sadly, I cannot say that I've played David Cage's games, because I haven't. I don't have Heavy Rain, and I have Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah,
but I haven't played it yet. And
I've played both I would say halfway through Heavy Rain. That was on the PS3, but I'd like to get the PS4 version.
Yeah.
And
Same with Two Souls.
Beyond Two Souls, also PS3 version. I played about halfway through that one. I tend to get sidetracked and new games come out, and I kind of migrate. I can never just finish a game unless the story really hooks me in. But those games are good, and I should get back to them.
Yeah, I say that about like pretty much every game I have, but
and then one last game that I will bring up is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
we finally see the fight, like the fighting and everything. I thought it looked really good.
Insomniac is good, man.
Being able to go in and out of the buildings the way that they did, that's fantastic.
I was noticing when they were doing the combat, like, the hand-to-hand stuff looked really cool and it looked very Spider-Man, but I noticed all the button prompts on different background objects. So it's like you're going to be able to use that stuff. Yeah,
that, and then also in a little bit of a way, I think some of the areas are kind of like sequenced or scripted where
quick time events.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with that as long as
they let me trigger it. That's my thing. When they kind of shoehorn it in and like you're forced into it as soon as you walk into a room, it's like I'm not doing it. I'm just pressing a button when it tells me to. You know? But it looked good.
So then we got
I have a few things here too I wanted to mention.
Okay.
Before we move on, God of War.
Oh,
we didn't really discuss that. I kind of
mentioned you mentioned it, but yeah.
It looks great, and it's now that one. Like I said, it does make me think that it plays a lot like Horizon or something. But man, they're doing a lot of stuff that I think was very necessary for that series. Like you can see Kratos trying to be a father, and like dealing with his rage and stuff. And it's like
anger management issues.
Well, and then when all the stuff he's been through, and then like you see the different character interactions, there's a lot going on there. And it's interesting that they're putting you in the shoes of this broken, angry man, like, and all the while, like he's sitting here trying to teach his son how to be that way too, whether that's the intent or not, because he's sitting there telling him, don't feel for these people, like don't do it, don't think about their sympathy or anything. And it's like, okay, you're gonna make him another God of War, huh?
And visually, I think that game it looks so good.
Like most of these. I mean, honestly, that's the biggest takeaway from Sony's thing is these games look freaking awesome. Like the graphics are so good. There was a few VR things I wanted to mention. One could be really awesome, and that is the Inpatient from the guys that made Until Dawn. And I don't know what to think of it, but it could be awesome because Until Dawn was. Then they, of course, they had the Until Dawn VR thing. Now, the one VR thing that I thought was just about the dumbest thing ever.
I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Final Fantasy 15.
Fishing.
It's fishing. Like, of all the things that you could do with Final Fantasy in VR, you're fishing. Like, really?
And very unrealistic, I might add. I mean, you're not going to be catching, like, ginormous, like, shark-like creatures with that kind of fishing line. There's no way. And let alone your character would probably go flying into the water.
Maybe they do. It wouldn't surprise me. But, yeah, that was kind of stupid. I would have much rather, like...
I did write that down on my list, but mainly because of the humor of it. Because I don't play Final Fantasy games. I'm not big into that stuff.
So I think we pretty much nailed Sony down here.
Yeah.
Look at my
So
list.
the next,
There's a few third parties though. Before we do
yeah,
Nintendo,
I
you
want to talk.
missed one, right?
I didn't get to see Bethesda yet, but
Okay.
I know that they come out with the new Wolfenstein.
Okay. Yep. So there's
and,
that.
It looks pretty damn good.
That looks awesome. They actually had a few VR things I think could be very promising, and that was Doom VFR edition. I love that. That's a good reference, guys.
Plus, Fallout 4 VR.
That, to me, that is the game that could change the landscape for VR more so than Skyrim in VR, because Fallout is way more relatable due to the fact that it's not a fantasy setting, even though it is post-apocalyptic. I think that has potential to do a lot. Other than that, like you said, they had Wolfenstein. I'm probably missing something because I did not.
Well, you have the Zelda costumes, Nintendo stuff in Skyrim, which
right.
That's kind of cool. I guess if you're a big Zelda fan, you might do that.
The one other game they announced was Evil Within 2, and I did not play through the first one. I have it, on my Steam account, but I haven't played it. And I did watch a good deal of it when it first came out. And the problem with this trailer was it didn't really show me anything. Like, what direction are they taking? Because when the first one came out, it was before we had things like the Amnesia series or like the Outlast games. Like horror in general, and even Resident Evil 7, horror in general has moved far ahead in that short period of time since the last game. So I don't know really where they're going with this one. I kind of wish they'd shown something that gave me an idea. So,
well, Ubisoft would be the next third party.
Ubisoft.
And I know a lot of people think that they like bombed it. I think completely opposite.
Me too. For the most part, they knocked it out of the park, in my opinion.
Yeah. The Mario plus Rabbids game looks interesting to me. I'm not big with turn-based play, but I'll give it a try. Although obviously I don't have a Switch, so I don't know when that would be.
And Ubisoft, their Rabbids characters are hilarious. I don't know if you've ever played one.
No, I haven't, but that looked pretty damn funny.
If you pick up any of the Wii games, like you can probably find them for $5. You'll get an idea real quick. Or even you could probably jump on Netflix or Hulu or something. I think the cartoon is on there. They're hilarious. They're good. They're like little. They're like kind of old timey like Looney Tunes where there's not really any talking, but it's funny.
Or like the Minions.
Well, yeah, just like the Minions. But yeah, I think that Ubisoft did a really good job bringing Mushroom Kingdom to life like they did.
Yeah,
like it looks like good. A Nintendo game a lot. Now the fact that it's a strategy RPG kind of game, I don't know that I'm going to want to play it. Like I do out of curiosity, but I don't usually get into that style of game. So
hopefully they'll have a demo that you can download on your Switch and play it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I would like that.
So moving on, since we're kind of talking about the Switch, Ubisoft's game Starlink, I don't know what the subtitle is, but it runs on the Snowdrop engine, which is the engine that powers The Division and a few other games that they showed off. But they have it running on the Switch, which is very impressive to me.
Do you know if that's the same engine that runs Steep?
I'm not sure.
Because they are bringing Steep to the Switch, so it would actually make sense if they were using that engine for both.
They might be. It seems like they're using it more and more for some of their games. It makes me think like how EA is using Frostbite for everything now.
It's a good idea, though. It's smart.
It saves them money. They don't have to license from like Epic Games or anything like that for Unreal Engine. And then my guess is, now I don't know. Obviously, with Assassin's Creed being used with that, they probably have their own engine for that.
Mm-hmm.
However, that doesn't stop them from in the future using Snowdrop. Yeah. But I just thought, like, I wrote it down here, that engine's ported to Switch. That's incredible. That shows how powerful the Switch actually is for what it does.
Now, Starlink, is that the game that had the little Lego style figures that you could use?
Yeah. I think so.
Kind of like Toys to Life stuff, like Skylanders.
Yeah, because they showed the Switch controller and they were putting the ship on there, and I'm like, and that's kind of cool.
It was kind of cool too when they were able to change the weapons on the little ship. Yeah, and it changed it in the game.
Yeah, that's
kind of neat.
Yeah,
I don't know that I'd want it.
I don't know much else about the game other than what they showed, so I don't think it's coming out yet. But it's on a technicality, I think it's impressive.
Yeah.
And then the only other game that, other than Assassin's Creed, but we already talked about that, Skull plus Bones, or Skull and Bones, the pirate game, looked unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yes, it kind of looks like they took the idea from Assassin's Creed 4.
They absolutely did. Like,
and and you know what?
It looks so much like it's retarded.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I've been wanting them to do for a long time, is just make a damn pirate game that didn't involve assassins, and
here it is.
Just put it out, and there we go.
And the fact that you can essentially, board other ships and essentially take it from them, and
just like Assassin's Creed,
build your own fleet.
It's pretty awesome.
That is awesome. That really is.
It is. They had the Crew 2. Now,
which looks fantastic, by the way. All those various modes. I'm excited for that. Doing some boat racing and airplane
it's a straight up motorsport game now, and that I think that was the right direction, right move, because just having like ground based vehicles before was not what it should have been.
Yeah,
it's too much like everything else.
I started playing the first one last week. And I mean, personally, I like it. But
it's fine. It's just like there's a million other games very similar to it out there.
So this one almost is like the Grand Theft Auto Online, except obviously you're not killing people and stuff, but you have like the boat racing that they do and the car racing, all this different things,
the planes and all that, like all kinds of stuff.
It looks great. And then now I never played Steep, but I
played the demo.
They showed the I don't know if it was an add-on or
DLC.
That looked cool with that jetpack suit.
Yeah. Then of course there's South Park. Looks hilarious.
Oh my God.
We know it's gonna be.
I haven't played A Stick of Truth yet. But seeing this makes me want to play it.
Yeah.
And the thing is I know that there were some actual episodes that kind of like went into where this is. So that's pretty awesome.
There's also Far Cry 5, which looked phenomenal.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad they showed what they did, because to me it definitely told me the story that I needed to know. Now I'm buying the game. Yeah,
my concern was because like I played through Far Cry 3 all the way. Played a good deal of 1 and 2 also, but 3 is the only one I played all the way through because the story was that good to me. And then the open world stuff was 4. I started to, and then I guess 5 which is actually Primal, not this one.
Yeah.
But Far Cry Primal, to me, that seemed like a huge departure that the series needed, but then it just didn't catch.
Yeah.
I never played it.
I
but
didn't play it. I didn't buy it. Nothing.
I have to wonder if it was just too similar somehow. It just, to me,
honestly, I think what it is, it wasn't similar enough.
maybe.
It was so far off that maybe they should have just called it something different.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically a caveman. So it's like there's no guns or nothing. It's like
yeah,
different for sure. But anyway, I saw this, and when I first saw it, like, because this game was revealed weeks ago.
Yeah, and there's big controversy, and I'm like, it's a video game.
Apparently,
get over yourself.
Yeah. Speaking of controversy, there's a little story. A bunch of neo-Nazis, I guess, on Twitter are throwing a fit over Wolfenstein 2.
I
killing
read that.
Nazis. It's like, shut up.
I read that.
Shut
it's like
up.
you shouldn't be neo-Nazis.
Yeah, just get the hell over it. But anyway, back to Far Cry. What they showed me that has me on board is the strategy aspect, where he walks up to the cliff and there's this other character, and they're like, well, what do you want me to do? And he kind of looks up at this water tower.
Yeah, and you
it
sound like
puts
a
spark.
like a waypoint for that person.
And they run up there, and then you designate who needs to go down after you're in position. And it's like, that is really cool. Now, if that's AI driven,
that's still kind of cool, I guess.
That's awesome. I don't want everything to be like online only, you know?
No, I mean neither. But if that has the option for your friends to join in, and you can essentially give them directions, and hopefully they follow you, that's kind of cool.
The problem with online games is that no matter how structured the game is, it ends up being just a madhouse.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when Splinter Cell first had multiplayer, it was like such a great idea, a great concept. And then all of a sudden it's like, because the spies in the game originally on Pandora Tomorrow, the spies couldn't kill anybody so they had to sneak around. They could knock them out. They couldn't kill. So, like, you'd think, okay, there's a restriction in there that you have to follow. And then, like, the mercenaries, they could kill. So, they had this system in place where, like, you had rules, a set of rules that you had to follow, but it didn't matter because in no time at all, spies were just dropping on you, knocking you out, and running full sprint, not sneaking around at all. And it's just like, that totally destroys the spirit of that multiplayer. And that's what inevitably happens with all multiplayer games, no matter how well structured they are. Like, you cannot tame mass groups of people.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Well, Far Cry 5 either way looks really good.
It does.
And I
typically don't like the American setting in games because that's where I live. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, but see, the same thing could be said for, like, Call of Duty World War II. Do you think that the Europeans are going to want to be killing Europeans? I mean, like, no.
Well, see, and even that, like, I'm sick of the old times, like, in games. World War II games, they were out there welcome
but see,
10 years ago.
The thing.
And to
it's
me,
like, we were sick of it a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So then they brought everything to the future. Actually, no, they brought it to today.
Modern. And then
we got sick of that, so they went into the future, and then everyone got sick of that. So now they're going backwards. Where else can they go, if not in more of the future? But no one wants it anymore.
If Activision wasn't so damn hellbent on releasing a new damn Call of Duty every freaking year, they wouldn't have this problem. They could focus on making games with good stories and innovative gameplay mechanics. Problem solved, but nope. They have to release one every year.
Well, some of the storylines for those games are pretty good, I think. But it definitely, you get sick and tired of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on to Nintendo because theirs was pretty short. and obviously the Treehouse thing is going to run for the next few days.
Yeah, Nintendo was short, but man, there's no shortage of awesome stuff.
Now, first, I do want to say that one of my wishful thinkings actually
And
came
mine,
true.
Probably.
Is Metroid Prime 4.
Same here.
Obviously,
Same
no
here.
gameplay or anything, but the fact that we know they're working on it, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that the Switch is actually doing good means that there's a good chance it's actually going to show up on the Switch. So that's awesome. But we got doubly lucky because they also announced the Metroid Samus Returns remake of Metroid 2 for the 3DS. And it's like,
and that means you're buying a 3DS.
pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. I don't have a choice now.
You're
Thanks,
like,
Nintendo.
You're like, man, I don't play pocket games. And now you're like, I play pocket games.
I bought a Game Boy Advance for those 2 Metroid games, and that's all I ever go back to on those things. Sometimes Golden Sun, but pretty much just the 2 Metroid games. So that's awesome. And then, the Treehouse had that extended look at the Metroid remake. So that looks freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's something I would get if I had a 3DS.
Yeah. Now they also announced something coming soon. I heard a chirp.
Yeah, it's a bird.
Yeah, a bird. They announced something, I think, to kind of appease people. Is she talking to you?
Trying.
Because they had the Pokemon Direct last week, and a lot of people were pissed off because there was no Pokemon for Switch besides Pokken Tournament.
Except they announced that at the Treehouse thing.
Yeah, and
This is
then
where I was watching, they were
at
announcing.
the thing today, they announced that they are working on a mainline Pokemon RPG for the Switch, and that they said it might not be out for a year or more, but it's still whatever, dude. Finally.
Yeah,
Finally.
you're gonna get to play some Pokemon now.
Yeah, one day.
Although you get that 3DS, you'll be able to play it too. So,
well, I'm not gonna go back. I just want Metroid, man. How
come
about
on
one?
now. By the
I'll just buy
time
that and Zelda.
by the time you get that, those Pokemon games, you can get them used.
Oh yeah, for like full price, basically $5 less. Nintendo games don't lose value, like ever.
Ain't that the truth?
So that was cool, and then they did show more of the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom battle, whatever, which was fine. I was pleasantly surprised to see Xenoblade Chronicles 2 show up again, and with a fall release date. Like I said, coming holiday 2017 or something.
Yeah, although
wow, that's awesome.
See, what else was there? Was it Fire Emblem or
Fire Emblem
something?
Heroes
I didn't think that looked that good visually. That's
No.
like the first game they showed off, and I'm like,
the fact that it's from the team that did Hyrule Warriors kind of confuses me because like the artwork's fine, it looks nice, but
rather low res though.
Yeah, low res, and then the voice acting is just awful. Like, man.
Yeah, I was surprised that was the first game they show off. Reggie's talking about it, and then all of a sudden, here they are, and I'm like, is this a 3DS game?
Yeah,
because it didn't look very good.
No, that was not impressive. The fact that Xenoblade 2 is coming this year is pretty phenomenal, though, because when you look at their lineup, Nintendo's nailing it. Like, they've already had, like, one big game every month so far. Then, like, this month is ARMS, next month is Splatoon, then in August is the Mario and Rabbids thing. I don't know what's planned for September, but October is Mario Odyssey. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is somewhere in there. It's like, man, they are nailing
it. They corrected the mistake the Wii U had. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean you could almost say they're overcorrecting because so many top tier
Well,
games.
but the thing is,
It's
a lot of
awesome,
them
though. Not
are a lot of them are ports from the Wii U,
Well,
or
that's
well, not necessarily ports, but like I'm not saying it's bad because obviously not enough people have played the games, but like Mario Kart, well, that
that
you
and
know,
Pokken Tournament.
it's a deluxe edition, which is fine because you get all the DLC from the
Yeah.
previous game, and then
Well,
obviously they'll probably continue to support it.
interesting thing is they didn't have like any ports from the Wii U at this show today.
And
Like,
that's
there's
fine,
nothing,
I guess.
which is awesome for me. But I mean, that's where my prediction was dead wrong because they did not have any of that, and neither did they. They didn't have most of my predictions actually, but
Well, then
yeah.
they did show off some Zelda DLC,
Yep.
which
And that was
looked
the
good.
only thing for Wii U that they had at the show.
Um,
So cool, I guess. They're not leaving
yeah.
Wii U owners out, but
Now I forgot to mention this before when we were talking Ubisoft. I think it's crazy that now it's a game I'll never buy, but Just Dance 2018 is coming out on the Wii.
yeah,
The
Wii and
original
Wii U.
Wii. I could see the Wii U, but the Wii? Seriously, that's crazy.
Okay, so that might seem crazy based on its age, but there's like over 100 million of those things out in people's homes.
Yeah, but how many of those 100 million still buy games for it?
Probably a lot of those people still buy Just Dance games. I wouldn't say any other games, but Just Dance games, yeah, I'm sure. Or else they wouldn't bother making it.
And
Whereas
I guess
Wii
maybe
U,
the visuals on it are probably too demanding.
well, whereas like Wii U, it's like there's only 10 million of those out in the wild to begin with. So that is shocking to me. I mean, the Wii U, both Wii's like really, it was weird regardless how you look at it. It is weird to see those systems included.
Well, I do know there's some YouTubers out there that collect the Wii, like full set and everything. It's like, hey, guess what? Now you gotta go spend $60 on a new Wii game.
I thought of Adam Korlick about, he has like full Wii U collection
or almost,
just about.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he's just gonna have to buy one more game now because Ubisoft had to release Just Dance.
Well, that and he already bought the War Mastered edition of what the hell?
Darksiders.
Yeah.
Did that actually come out on disc? Because I haven't.
Yep, he bought it. He's got it.
Be damned.
Came from Amazon.
Huh.
I guess you're gonna have to get it too.
Guess so. Damn it.
But that's a game probably worth buying.
Yeah.
But
they had a few indies I wanted to mention. They're not exactly new. Oddly enough, Square didn't have like anything at Nintendo show. Maybe it'll be at the Treehouse stuff, but there's nothing in the Spotlight thing. But Axiom Verge was announced for the Switch, physical, no less.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like, wow, that's cool as hell. And has bonus content because Nintendo requires it. And Rocket League, which
that looked good. I mean,
that is awesome.
It's been out, but now they got some Nintendo only items in there.
Well, see, and I don't even give a crap about that. Personally, that game is really, really, really fun, and that is perfect for Switch, where you can take it on the go and just do a round of Rocket League with a friend, split screen. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Like, I'm probably going to buy that because that's really good. And I guess, before we talk about the biggest thing of all, they showed off a new Kirby for the Switch.
To me.
Looked really good. Very traditional. It didn't seem like it had any gimmick at all, really, just other than being able to team up with the enemies and stuff rather than like just absorb their powers. But it looked cool. And then Yoshi, just simply titled Yoshi for now. That looked really stunning. Like, it looked like it was kind of Yarn Yoshi, but like paper worlds, like paper cardboard.
Kind of like worlds. A mix.
Yeah. And it showed it where you would basically flip the 2D level around to get through certain areas and stuff. Really cool idea. I have a feeling it'll be really good. I just hope it ends up as good as Yoshi's Woolly World on the Wii U, because that was a true Yoshi game that people have been waiting way too long for.
Yeah.
They usually take that and Kirby a little too far into the kiddie realm where it's like super easy, not a lot of challenge. And luckily the last Yoshi game, it had challenge. Like it was just like Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo. So hoping this one goes that route. Both of those were listed for 2018, which was kind of rare for this whole thing. Nintendo doesn't usually go that far
they had a few games like that, and I was like, wow, they're really changing a little bit.
Yeah, they did have a lot, but anyway, there's the one game that they spent most time on, understandably, and that was Super Mario Odyssey. And that looks so awesome.
I couldn't agree more.
Like, they have so many new abilities and new mechanics that it's weird to me that it wasn't that long ago that I was playing Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U and thinking, man, they took this cat suit mechanic and they made it like both hilarious and really interesting in terms of level design. And then they take this and it's like cat suit times 10 because there's so many different things like
now
that.
It's not even the suit. It's like you have your magic hat that you throw onto the character and now you're them.
Yep. And then like you can jump out. And it's just
when they showed him swimming as the fish, it looked so funny.
I mean, flying around as a bullet bill.
That too. Holy
That's
crap.
pretty cool. Pretty cool. Of course, you got to watch it because you will blow up eventually. So that's pretty awesome. The way that you could latch on to things that you wouldn't normally think to, like there's like poles and stuff, and like fire hydrants and street lights and all kinds of stuff like that. You could just, possess, I guess. I don't know what they call it. But, take on those forms and then it would like sling you upward to a new area.
Yeah.
There's no fall damage. I don't know if you got to watch the Treehouse stuff yet, but there's no fall damage that I can see. They got up on top of this really high building and they saw their objective on like a rooftop over a ways. And it turned out all he had to do was do a really long jump. And like if this were Mario 64, he would have died. Because by the time he hit the ground, it was like, that was a long fall. But not so here.
Well,
so,
I mean, you are Super Mario.
Well, pretty sure Mario was super on the N64 game. Just maybe he's more super now. I don't know.
Well, he has the ability to possess people now, so.
Well, that's true. Maybe he died. He's a ghost. He can't die when he's a ghost.
Anyway, I know there's more conferences that I need to watch or finish watching.
Bethesda.
Bethesda, definitely. Activision, I don't even know if they had one.
I don't think they did.
I know there's, well, Nintendo's Treehouse goes for the next couple days too. Right. So,
and Sega has not announced anything. They showed off
which
some.
We kind of thought we'd wonder, are they going to tell us what this Sega Forever is?
They might still. I mean, it just started today technically, but they did have a gameplay demonstration of Sonic Forces. So, there's a good chance that it'll still come. We'll just have to wait and see. So, yep. I think that's all we got.
Yeah. So, thanks for watching. And like always, happy gaming, guys.